Welcome, welcome, Venerable Tenzin. I think on the 24th of July, we'll be hosting you at Lugsum Tibetan Meditation in Zurich here, and it's called. What was the event called? A dialogue on the environment.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Venerable Tenzin, would you like to tell us a bit more about yourself? Just so the people can get to know who you are.
Okay. So my name is Tenzin. I'm a Buddhist monk. I'm from Switzerland. I was ordained about 16 years ago. I took ordination with His Holiness Dalai Lama in Dharamsala. And then I lived in India for a few years in the Tibetan monastery. And currently I'm living in Nalanda Monastery in the south of France. And I'm doing studying the basic program in Nalanda Monastery. And I used to travel a lot before I became a monk. I was traveling mainly around Asia. I like the Himalayas, the mountains. That's how I met the Dharma. I got in touch with Buddhism. In Nepal, actually, in Kopan Monastery was my first introduction to Buddhism, like a 10-day course. And then my interest in Buddhism started to grow, and eventually became a monk. And now I'm living in Nalanda Monastery.
Fantastic. And I guess you said you were traveling a lot before you became a monk. Was the traveling specifically to learn about Buddhism, or was the Buddhism something that just occurred or that you saw on your travels?
I was mainly looking for adventure. I was young and I wanted to make the best out of my life. And at that moment, the best seemed to be to explore the world. I wanted to see the world, see how other people live. And I was a little bit discontented also with our life here in the West. We have all the luxuries, and but still people are not really happy, including me. I had everything I needed, but I felt there was something missing in my life. I didn't really know what, and I was looking for something. I didn't really know what. Mainly was looking for happiness, I think, and also in some way the lifestyle here in the West, even 30, 40 years ago, it was clear to me that it's not sustainable, that everything is about money. And we're even, 30 years ago, it was clear that we're exploiting the nature, we're destroying nature to keep our life, our high living standard. And I was thinking we can't go on like this. And I was interested to see how other people live in different cultures, and also in the Himalaya to see how people live more traditionally, more in touch with nature, and to see different ways of life and explore. And then kind of by accident, but I was looking also for something spiritual, but I was not really clear about. But Buddhism seemed quite interesting, but I was not really looking for it. But then when there was this opportunity to do this introduction course to Buddhism at Kopan, I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. And I was looking for something like that, but not specifically, was not my main focus. And I liked it very much, especially because there in Kopan, they didn't try to convert us to make us Buddhist. They just explained the Buddhist philosophy. We learned about meditation and different Buddhist concepts. And then it was up to me what I do with it, if I continue or not. And this openness really assured me that this is a nice way. And so that also kept me interested. And then I went to more teachings, and there were some teachings by His Holiness Dalai Lama and other great masters. And slowly, my interest in Buddhism started to grow.
Okay, fantastic. And so roughly, excuse me, What year was it when you first had your first course at Copan?
Sorry?
What year was it when you had your first course at Copan?
That was in 1990.
Okay.
1990. I was, I think, 24 years old. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
This is a
And then
long
during
time
that
ago.
time, so during the time between sort of you first met Buddhism and then you start to learn more up until the time you were ordained, like what was the sort of process of your growth from there in Buddhism?
Um, yeah, I learned a bit about meditation and in Kopan then, and then I continued traveling basically. Did a lot of trekking in the Himalayas, and I visited many all different monasteries, and I like the atmosphere in the monasteries in the mountains, especially also in Ladakh. During another trip, I spent the whole summer walking around Ladakh, and I spent a lot of time in monasteries, and I like the atmosphere and the monks. And also I joined some other courses, meditation courses, did some vipassana, and later did the November course in Kopan, the 1 month November course. And another thing also what really inspired me to meet like Lama Zopa Rinpoche or His Holiness Dalai Lama and other high lamas, and to see their qualities, how calm they are, how loving. And I was thinking like, oh, that's how I want to be. And that was really inspiring.
Oh, wow.
To see living examples of love, kindness, wisdom, and to see that this Buddhist path is actually, it was for me to see these masters was a proof that the Buddhist teachings are actually working.
Okay.
So that was very inspiring.
Oh. And I guess
But then
you had. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I kept traveling and exploring, and in between, slowly, I did more. I spent more times in monasteries, and did more courses and retreats, and then slowly, and reading books, and so slowly my interest was growing. And
Yeah, you just broke up there, but no worries. So I guess I believe you were ordained in 2004. Is that correct?
yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, so it's quite a long period between obviously first meeting and then being ordained. I guess you have like you said you did the course and then you started traveling and you're visiting more monasteries and you really enjoyed the atmosphere. Was it something that was in your head that, oh, okay, did you think of becoming a monk instantly? Was it something that popped in your head?
Not in the beginning, but slowly. Yes, I was quite inspired by the monks, and I was thinking about ordination, but I was thinking, oh, it's something I can do later.
Yeah.
First, I want to enjoy life a bit more, but then slowly, I felt like it's the most meaningful thing to do if I really want to have time to meditate and practice, and also to kind of, I could see the value of the Dharma, the teachings of the Buddha, and I understood that it is mainly the monastics who keep the Dharma alive in the world, and I was thinking like it would be nice to contribute that these precious teachings are kept in the world, and to study it and to pass it on to the next generation. It always needs people who actually
Actually live and
really,
practice it.
yes.
Yeah.
So that was another thing, and slowly I felt that it's the most meaningful thing to do, and I could see how happy I was when I spent times during retreats or in monasteries a little bit away from all the hectic of our Western life. So it was also an enjoyable thing. So slowly the decision slowly ripened.
So there was no specific event that ticked in your mind that thought, okay, this is the path for me?
No, it was just gradually it came to my mind. But also in some monasteries where I was there, in one monastery in Ladakh, when I was there, I kind of felt like coming home, and I felt, oh, I would love to just stay here forever. That was, but then I thought, oh, it's not realistic. I was just traveling and think like I cannot stay there forever. But somehow the idea to be able to live in a community, also the life in a community, I thought is very, very useful and very, very nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I guess sort of what sort of time period was that? Because you said you were traveling. Like, was that over a period of a certain amount of years from when you were younger, or?
Yes, I started, my first trip to India was 1990. What I was mentioning when I went to Kopan, I was traveling for about 9 months. Then I went back home to work. I was working as a carpenter, earning some more money, and then was traveling for another more than 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, that was when I went to Ladakh, when the idea of becoming a monk slowly came to my mind. But then, yeah, it took time to really, it's a big step. And
Yeah,
I was quite happy. I had a good job, and I worked in Switzerland, and I was traveling in Asia a little bit on and off. And yeah, then after a few years, one time when the relationship with my girlfriend ended, then I was so like, oh, maybe now it's time.
It's always the way, isn't it? So I guess from your travels, you said you saw the world and saw how people all around the world deal with the environment differently, and especially here in the West, everything's more about money and producing more and more. I guess, what I mean, this course on the weekend is about the Buddhist perspective on the environment. Why is why does this subject interest you, or why is it I've heard it's your very keen interest or passion, or something that you really enjoy talking about?
It's something which was always in my mind even before ordination, that I felt very sad a little bit about how we treat the world and what's going on, not just about the environment, also in general about all the violence and the wars and all the problems in the world. And I thought like we should do something about it. And I thought like we should stand up and fight for justice, and things should change, and we should live in a different way, more peaceful and more in tune with nature. But when I was traveling, I realized that I cannot just change the world. I should start with myself. That's also a reason why Buddhism I found really helpful. It helped me to deal with my own negative emotions, my own anger, my own anxiety, and all the delusions we have in our mind. And I realized that, yeah, like the big Buddhist masters who were so peaceful, so subdued and loving, and also have a lot of wisdom, that if I can generate some of these qualities, I can be more of help to others. And I realized that I cannot, in order to change the world, I have to start changing myself to become a better person, basically. And for that, Buddhism is really, really useful. Like the Buddhist meditation and the teachings, it really helps us to develop our inner positive qualities. And I think if we do that, then we're also much more easygoing with other people, and we are more aware of the suffering of others, and we try not to contribute to suffering, and helping helping other people, animals, and I think the world as a whole.
Hmm. I guess, yeah, you mentioned that also before that you sort of felt that you had this like urge, oh, we need to like fight and we need to do what's right and go almost like a like protest and really try and change the world. I guess through your, so I'm curious about is like through your Buddhist practice, I guess how has it sort of changed the way you change your relationship with the environment, or also with dealing with people and dealing with the issues of climate change in the environment?
Yes, I think basically it was to realize that change must come from within. Like I have to start changing myself, because it's, as long as I generate anger about things which go wrong, I get impatient about other people, then I cannot really contribute well to the well-being of others. So in order to change the world, I think I should start with myself. And also during my time of ordination, I was really focused more on my meditation, on the practice. I didn't watch any movies. There was not much internet then. It only came later. But newspapers and things, I was not so engaged with. And it was only last few years when especially the climate became so worse, that I start thinking like, oh, now it's maybe time that we should really try to do something. It's not enough if I'm just meditating. It's good to work on one's own, but on the other hand, it's also good to communicate with others and try to contribute to a positive change.
Mm-hmm. So
I
you
think we
really,
need both. We need both. We need to change ourselves internally, but then we can also try to help others changing and getting a positive view on things.
mm-hmm. Cool. I guess also a question I have is like what do you say to people who, obviously there are people who are very deeply concerned about the environment and climate change and all these issues, and I guess they get angry. They get angry and they go out and protest and they blame this person and they blame, the government and capitalism, or they blame whoever, and it just seems to be like I don't know, like a wildfire of anger. And I don't know, do you think the kind of like the ends justifies the means? So we're trying to change the world, and the only way to be noticed is to get angry. Do you think that's a good approach? Or what would you say to someone who has that kind of like approach, who that just feels in their heart, they're just like, why can't you see we're killing the planet? And they're just getting so furious about it, which is understandable. What do you say to someone who's feeling that way?
Yeah, I think it's understandable, and I felt like this when I was young, and I felt we should really go out and do something, and that's one way. It's a positive thing, but anger is always kind of a destructive emotion, and I think we should see what goes wrong, and that make us sad or angry. But I think we should not act out of anger. We should act out of love. I think it's more, we should protect the world because we love our planet, we love nature, and we love other people, and that's why we fight for peace, for example. But if I don't know who it was, like some master once said, if you fight for peace, then you're part of the problem. And I kind of like that. We cannot fight for peace.
Yeah.
We have to, I don't know, maybe it was Thich Nhat Hanh who said it, I'm not sure. If you want to promote peace in the world, we have to generate peace within ourselves. And then from that, we can spread peace, and that is a counterforce to violence and anger. And anger can be a tricking thing, but I think we have to be careful not to act out of anger, or not too much. But still, it's good to see the injustice and what goes wrong, and to see the problem, and then having this courage to change it. But it's not necessarily anger, which like His Holiness Dalai Lama, he's never angry, but he's fighting for the Tibetan cause, and he's standing up for injustice. So I think that's a good example.
And I guess a lot of people may feel I don't know, angry because they may not feel they have a voice. And then sometimes when you're, I don't know, if you're angry, then you become heard. Is there like, can you use anger in a way to be able to be heard? And then, like, is obviously you don't want to use anger wholly, like as a whole, because it's just like you said, it can be destructive, and it kind of like it can blind you, I guess. But then, can you use anger in a intelligent way, or would you still call it anger then? Would it not be anger?
I think it's might be possible to use anger. Is a very powerful force, and there are teachings in how we can use this power of anger. But I think it's a very, very dangerous thing to do if you really use anger, because anger often controls us. So if we're under the control of anger, then the outcome will most of the time be negative. If we, in a relationship, for example, we get angry, we say things which we might regret. So I think it's very difficult to use the anger in a positive way. But it can, if somebody is really skilled, anger can be something which makes us wanting to change. But then when we actually act, it's maybe better to calm down a bit, because when we are really angry, we cannot think clear, and then we do things which might not be the most useful. But to have some anger about something which make us wanting to change things, that might be something we can use. But then to actually act, we should try to calm down and think clear, and what's the most useful thing to do. Because anger usually just generates more anger from others.
I think it also, like, it flavors your message or whatever you're trying to say. If you're like shouting and screaming at someone, I mean, it's like you're saying, you're very naughty, you shouldn't do this. And generally people don't like that, and it takes away from the message, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to be a good example and being an inspiration for others, but still be strong and powerful, and really fight for what's good, but in a skillful way. And I think that's also something where Buddhism can really, can contribute to the environmental cause, because Buddhism has all these skills how to deal with our emotions. And I think we can also be more patient or more content. Like often people are not happy, and then when we're not happy we do all kind of things. But if we're have some inner peace and happiness, then we don't need so much material things. We don't need to go shopping and consuming so much. And I think, yeah, it's one way, it's maybe fighting, but it's not just the bad people who create the problem. It's all of us. And I think we have to change our perception, how we see the world. And from that, change will come. And I think there Buddhism can contribute a lot.
I guess, yeah, you also mentioned that, like, you should be trying to, like, look it through lens of love and compassion, and trying to seeing it from different perspective, that it's not just like the evil people over there are polluting the country, or the evil capitalists are doing it. And it's just, I guess there's a tendency to, you know, blame someone else, saying, look, I don't know, I'm not flying, I'm not taking aeroplanes everywhere, I'm not doing this, I'm vegetarian, I'm not killing the planet. I guess, like, what is our responsibility as like a worldwide a world, as in to the planet? Because obviously we can't just say, oh, it's their fault, because anything that's done over there affects us over here. Anything we do affects the entire world. Like, what's our kind of responsibility as humans in this world?
Yeah, I think our responsibility is to be fair, like to not to take more than our share. I think it's like in a community, in a group, you don't want to be someone who is taking more. Like if you live in a community, you contribute to the community, and you gain something. But what you give and what you take should be kind of in a balance. And like that, you can have a good relationship with people when you contribute something, and you also gain something from others, and it's a giving and taking. And I think it's the same with the environment, but right now we're taking much more than we give back. And I think with everything we consume, we have to be aware how much we actually take, and try to give something back. And not just with the environment, also with when we buy cheap products from other countries, I think we in the West, we take so much and we give back very little. So we should be prepared to live more simple and more fair, to pay a fair price for what we consume, for example, which means we might consume less, which seems to have less. As long as we associate having things with happiness, then having less things, we think we're less happy. And I think it's about changing our attitude and understanding that happiness is not coming from external things, from material things. Happiness is something which comes from good relations with people, being peaceful, being eternally happy and content. And yeah, like that, we have a response. I think every action we do, we is creating something. So with every action, we can contribute something positive or something negative. So I think we have to be very mindful about what we do, all our actions, also what we say, how we talk, that we don't talk in a destructive way, in a negative way. And even our thoughts, to have positive thoughts, to have a positive attitude towards other people, not seeing them as enemies immediately they do something which is a little bit disturbing. And the same with the environment. I think the whole world, to see it have a positive attitude, and maybe that's something we can contribute as maybe our responsibility. In every moment, with every action, we actually have a responsibility, and it can be a positive action or a negative action. It depends on our motivation, and it's not just the big things we do. It's even the small, even every thought we have. If we have positive thoughts, then we speak in a more positive way, and we will also act in a positive way. So I think it all starts with our mind, like all the action starts with the mind. And maybe our responsibility is to be aware of what's going on inside us, if we are in a positive mood or in a negative, destructive mood.
Mm-hmm. So going, I guess, yeah, like you said, looking at the mind and making sure you're in a positive state of mind. Like, what are some like examples or something that we can look at or to do to sort of focus on the environment, so we're aware of these things, or what's something small that we can start now to help the environment?
I mean, there's many things we can do. It depends on the individual. We can, like, every time we use so many things: electricity, energy. We drive cars. We take airplanes. Even the food we eat, it depends. If we buy something which is grown locally or organically, we contribute something. And I think it's, for example, for me, sometimes I buy organic food because I think, oh, it's more healthy for me. It's for me, for my body. It's a little bit selfish, but it's still a good thing. But sometimes I think, oh, it's too expensive. Maybe I buy the other one. But then I can think about how many insects are killed with all the pesticides. So I buy the more expensive apples, not just for my own health, but for all the insects. And it's kind of a gesture of generosity towards the environment. And it's a little contribution, but I think it's also it depends on the motivation also.
Okay.
And with everything we do, try to think about the impact it has. And sometimes we're willing to do more, sometimes we're willing to do less, and sometimes maybe for someone it might be important to fly somewhere, but sometimes it's just for fun, and we could take the train instead. Or, I mean, that's one thing, but I think we have to look at our motivation, why we do things, and to have a positive motivation with everything we do. But then also to talk about with people. And I think if we just oneself, if I'm become vegan or stop flying and this and that, it's a contribution. It's a nice thing to do. But I think if it's kind of a movement and more people are doing it, and there's more awareness about the impact of our actions, I think that can really make a difference. And then, of course, also on a political scale, like, there's where the big decisions are made in politics. So it really depends if we can be active in some ways to influence the decisions which are made on a high level. That really makes, if there's some laws in certain ways which protect the environment, that makes changes much more than I can do on a personal level. But I think we need to do things on a personal level, but that's not enough. Like, whether I buy organic food or not doesn't really change the world. But it's one contribution, and we can influence others and be an inspiration to others. But then we also have to try to yeah, maybe spread the awareness, and there's a general awareness of what's right and what's wrong, and what's even the danger we're facing with with climate change, and we're how dependent we are on the environment. It's not just we doing it not to. It's even for our own sake.
Okay, guess, yeah, again, following on from what you're saying, like with the climate change and trying to share the awareness, and I guess I mean, there's so much conflicting information. There's some people saying that it's bad. Some people are saying it's good. Some people are saying it's certain to a certain extent. There's so much conflicting information. Like how are you able to be aware, or know what is the right thing to do, or what is right to share? Because and then you see people sharing, and then they just become angry and say, oh no, it's like this, and then it just starts a big fight. And then they're like, how do you, what's the best way you think that is to try and deal with all this conflicting information?
Yeah, it's not easy, because even the scientists sometimes they're not. They don't all agree. We can see this with the Corona crisis. The information one time they say this, then they say something else. So it's difficult, and we always learn more things. But I think some things are very, very. I mean, for me, some people say, "Oh, climate change. It's not. It's just made up or whatever." They don't believe. But even for me, it's obvious that polluting the air is not a good thing to do. Whether it causes the planet to be destroyed or not. I mean, it's the air we breathe, and if we stop polluting the air and stop polluting the rivers and stop and the oceans, all the plastic in the ocean, I mean, obviously it's a bad thing. And whatever we can do to improve, it's 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 something we should do. We should do the most we can, and then what's really the best solution? There's some discussions, and it's good to just be open-minded and see what. There's always pros and cons, and with like with our health, you know, some people say, "Oh, this is healthy," or "That it's healthy," and shouldn't eat this, you should eat that, and there's different opinions, and we should just try to understand as much as we can, and maybe see where the information is coming from, if it's a reliable source, or if some oil company or some business, they give some information, then maybe it's in their own interest. But I think if it's something like Greenpeace or some environmental organization, it's more trustworthy than if it's some oil company saying what's good. So it's where the information is coming from, and then we have to use our common sense. And yeah, I think like we know killing animals is bad, and if we grow our food in a way that many animals are killed with a lot of pesticides and poisons and things, I think it's generally it's bad for the environment, it's bad for ourselves. But in the end, yeah, with what kind of solutions is the best, we have to experiment also. But I think it's important we do something, we do whatever we can, and maybe not everything is working out perfect, but we just have to try to move in a positive direction.
And I guess in saying that, like it definitely, when you say that like that, it makes complete sense. But I guess there's, with all the conflicting information, and then people saying you should do this and do that, like how do you, and people not making action when you share with them, and how do you stop yourself from getting so frustrated and angry and wanting to keep going?
Yeah, I think trying to be realistic also to see what we can do, and maybe I think, yeah, I don't know, also to accept things and accept other people how they are. Like some people, they have no interest in doing things, and
Mm-hmm.
accepting their point of view, but still trying to do whatever we think is right.
Mm-hmm.
I think what I feel, when I think we can feel what's right and wrong, and if we do what we feel is right, we feel it's important and it's not harming others, then we should try. And how much we can achieve, we don't really know, but at least for myself, at least I tried. At least I did whatever I could. And if things are going wrong, at least I have to, I can think, oh, I was on the right side, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
uh, I did my best. And yeah.
Yeah, and I guess an interesting point you just brought up, I think, is like do it in a way that doesn't harm others. I guess there's sometimes I don't know, like a righteousness to saying, look, I'm fighting for the planet, I'm doing the right thing, that I can almost do anything as long as we get to that outcome. I can like abuse you. I can try and like, I don't know, tear down the system, or try and destroy capitalism because capitalism is ruining the planet. Like, um, how do you how do you deal with people of those sort of extreme natures, or even, I mean, not even just people at the extremes. I mean, I'm sure people who are passionate about environmental issues also have that inside, even if they aren't like extremists. They still have that anger and frustration, and even a bit of the righteousness that, whatever I'm doing, I'm I'm doing for the benefit of everyone. But there's sort of a bit of like, oh, but if you're wrong, then if you're against us, then you're kind of the enemy, and it kind of doesn't matter what your opinion is. Like, how do you navigate that without going down that path? Because it's very easy, um, when you think you're right, or you're trying to do something positive, that you kind of like, you're so attached, or you're so you have that idea that, yes, I'm doing what is right, so whatever I do is going in the positive direction, so it doesn't really matter what others think, or how others feel. Like, how do you battle that?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it can be tricky, especially if you think we're right. So I think it's important to see the point of view of other people, to be open to see, yeah, that's my point of view, but other people have a different point of view, and to try and understand why they see things different. And maybe it's also good to check our own motivation. Why I want to change something. Is it because of me, or is it really because I care about, is it because they're destroying my things? The noise of the airplanes is destroying me, is disturbing me. I don't like the cars because it's disturbing me. Or is it really something I'm concerned about others? Is more, I'm acting out of love, because the love for animals who are suffering when the forests are burning in Australia. Do I care about the animals, or Is it like the love for those who are suffering, or the compassion, or is it more anger about some politicians who don't care or change the laws in a bad ways? So we can see, I think, when we're really acting out of anger, it might be going down in a more destructive, negative way. But if our motivation is one out of love and compassion, then we can also act strong. I think it's good to protest and to stand up. And sometimes, yeah, I like those actions where some people in Switzerland, there was something in front of a bank in Zurich which is involved with oil business and things which are destroying the environment. So people made a manifestation. Of course, the police came, and it was they got arrested. But it created a lot of attention in the media, and it's not something I, as a Buddhist monk, should do. But I think they didn't harm anyone. Maybe the bank, yeah, they had a bit of problems, but it created some awareness. So sometimes some actions can, if they make some create some awareness, I think it's good, as long as it's not really destroying or harming people and property. So sometimes we do need to stand up, and I think it's good, like the demonstrations which happened before the coronavirus, the school strikes and all that. The people go to the street and say, like, now it's enough. We want some change. And I think just like about the Black Lives Matter thing, like people demonstrated, and really I think things are changing, and sometimes people need to stand up and raise their voice. And if enough people do it, something can change. And or like the women's rights, like the women also, they had to stand up for their cause. And but it depends in which way we do it.
So I guess it comes again back to, like you said, your motivation. You really have to, like you said, you really have to kind of look at yourself. I mean, I'm sure deep down there's parts of your being, person, I would say, that are like resentful or angry, and you have to be aware that whether your motivation is pure. So I guess, that's the main thing. Like, how pure is your motivation in the things you're doing? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. And I guess we also had a couple of questions. Was there anything else you wanted to add on to that?
No, not particular. Yeah.
I have a couple of questions from some of our members. And this is always a popular issue, but the consumption of meat and dairy. Some say that it's a large, or even a larger cause of environmental damage than, burning fossil fuels and things like that. Like, as a Buddhist, is that something that you should do, and become vegetarian, vegan, and not consume meat and dairy products? What is your opinion on that?
I think it's definitely a good thing to do, but I think it's up to the individual. Like, some people, for them it's easy not to eat meat. For others, might be more difficult. So I cannot judge others who eat meat. Maybe they're very attached to the taste, or some people may need some meat just to stay healthy. But I think in general, it's it's good to eat less meat and dairy, but it also depends. Like when I was in Tibet, there's not much vegetables, so people do eat meat because there's not much choice. So it depends where you live and what you have. And but if we can, definitely that's a big contribution, and to the planet, but also when we see the suffering of the animals in the slaughterhouses and how the animals are kept. So that's really, I mean, really terrifying how animals are treated. That's another reason to not to eat meat or to eat less. But yeah, it's an individual choice, and I would encourage everyone to do whatever he can. But I also respect people who for some reason may not be able to go completely vegetarian or completely vegan.
Okay, fantastic. I think we actually answered quite a few of the questions during our chat. Was there anything else overall that you wanted to add, or?
Yeah, my main message would be that, yeah, we should do whatever we can, but I think one of the main thing is to change our perception, our point of view. Like with in for example, yeah, I saw a documentary about slavery recently, and at that time people didn't see black people as equal. They didn't even see them as humans. That's how slavery was possible. And I think slavery only ended when some people changed their attitude and think like, they're humans, they're people just like me and you. And then when you have this perception, then it's just not possible to treat them as slaves. And I think that's how slavery eventually ended. And I think it's the same little bit with the environment. We exploit the environment without thinking it's wrong, or we kill animals and eat animals without thinking it's wrong, or we use them as test animals in laboratories just for our benefit and without actually seeing anything wrong. And I think when we change our perspective and see that we are part of the environment, we are not separate, and we're all connected, and the life of a tree is also important, and to have clean water and clean air, not just for myself but as a system, and to generate like really some caring attitude and love for everything which is alive, might be humans, animals, plants, and a loving, caring attitude. And I think that's one of the first things we should change, and then all the other things comes with it.
Fantastic. Great. Well, thank you so much, Venerable Tenzin, for chatting with me. You'll be coming to Lugsum in Zurich on the 24th of July and 25th, the weekend, for the Thursday night and Friday night and Saturday afternoon. Is that correct?
Right. Yes.
Fantastic. We look forward to having you there, and hopefully we can expand more on what we've chatted about. And yeah, we look forward to having you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you as well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to meet you all there at Lugsum. Whoever has time and can come, I would be happy to have more interaction with people and chatting about these topics, and also Buddhism, and to generate something positive, have a positive contribution to our life and the life of everyone on this planet.
Great. Thank you very much.